Good evening, Internet, and welcome to Top Shift 112. As you can see here, we're approaching another attacked installation called Scrumps Landing, and while we're doing that, I'll discuss the second live stream from the new beta, which Frontier showed off earlier today. Now, this live stream was mostly concerned with the background simulation and a lot of the interaction which happens with it. The background simulation is quite important in Elite, as there's a whole load of NPC factions which, dependent on what players do, gain influence or lose influence. And Frontier have decided to expand on that a bit. This is more challenging for the player groups that have adopted these factions. Now, these factions now have two different types of influence. They have economy and security, so that adds a further level of complexity. And there are more states in between each of those types of influence. Now, for instance, if an economy goes into famine, you might find that we start getting distress calls and distress call scenarios where food is required, being spawned all the way through the system. And this is one of the things that they were emphasizing, is that dependent on the state of the background simulation, there will be more complex and more detailed missions and scenario, just basically random scenarios that you can find and interact with. The fact that these factions are no longer restricted to one single state means that a whole load of new complex scenarios and missions can appear on the mission boards. Now, these scenarios and USSs which will appear are actually now persistent for a certain length of time. So, for instance, if you ended up with someone requesting food, you could actually fly away to a different system, pick up some food, and come back to that USS and drop some food off for that commander, just adding that extra little bit of complexity. And of course, as you help commanders in these kind of situations, you get more influence with the factions and help that faction in the system. There were four types of states they wanted to highlight, which would show off this functionality to the best. The first one was outbreak, where disease has taken hold in a system, which is spawned randomly. A system can go into outbreak at any time, but they do say it will be very rare. So basically, medicine and medical related USSs will start to appear. They did show off the new war state, which generated lots of conflict zones within a system, including a new medium class conflict zone for people to interact with. Now, in medium class and high class conflict zones, secondary objectives can appear. This could lead from just destroy 8 more ships or destroy an intelligence ship to all the way as watch out, there's a capital ship incoming, please drive it off. This should add an extra level of challenge within the conflict zones, which in the present game can be a bit repetitive. The other state they focused on was expansion. At this moment in time, expansion just happens randomly, so you never know which system a player faction is going to get. However, they have gone and shown that expansion will work from whichever system they realize is the happiest. That again will add an extra layer of complexity to how you manage your faction within the background simulation. They are also including a lot more installations and megaships within the background, which will be connected to the background simulation. And the last thing that they showed off was effectively a pirate raid on a megaship, where the player was allowed to choose whether to defend the megaship or attack it, which in this case Frontier decided to attack it. It did come up with objectives as you flew around, and of course it does look as if these kind of scenarios are generated dynamically based on what the state was, which in this case I think was in lockdown, as pirates attack or get more bolder to attack merchant vessels. So all in all, it did look to add that extra level of complexity that, or enhance the extra level of complexity that Elite Dangerous needs. So now that I've scanned all the logs here from Scrumps Landing, I think we'll have to find out what the Thargoids have been up to in the meantime.
I've done it, Jeremiah. Deal of the century. Some scrapper came in the other day carrying so much junk in his hold it looked fit to burst. He was desperate to offload it. Something to do with authority vessels and dodging taxes. I can't even remember. I was too busy thinking about what I could do with all that scrap. I made him an offer, some minuscule sum, thinking he'd haggle. But he said yes. Couldn't unload it fast enough. I've hit pay dirt, no mistake. Once I've finished breaking it down, I'll be rich. Then I can finally get off this rock. I might buy one of those exclusive condos on Seoul. Get a membership at an elite country club. Oh, the future's bright.
It's Space Steptoe and Son. For those of you who don't know about Steptoe and Son, it's an old 1970s junk dealer. Again, the voice acting on this is really good. And of course, in the next version, all these voice acting will be available in the codex for you to catch up with.
I found something in the shipment, Jeremiah. I've never seen its like before. I was sorting through the scrap when I came across it. A sort of pod-like thing. It's not made of any metal I've seen before. It's almost organic. I tried breaking into it, but I don't have anything in the yard powerful enough. It could be worthless, or it could be priceless, but I reckon someone must be willing to pay good money for it. I hope it's alien. That sort of stuff is always worth a fortune.
So it does seem that the Thargoids are tracking down missing items which have been stolen. Now these could be sort of the missing Thargoid probes. I get the feeling that this happened long before the present timeline.
My vision still isn't completely back to normal. It's my own fault, I suppose. I had a feeling it might be dangerous. I used an industrial laser on it, just to see what was inside. Stupid, I know. The thing didn't crack open, but it started to move. It gave off this terrible noise, and then a beam of light shot out of it straight into the air, nearly blinded me. The light shone like a beacon for an hour before it went out.
It does seem discovering these beacons just is bad news.
I knew I shouldn't have messed with that thing, the beacon. It looks like someone saw it. And I don't think they're happy I got it in my yard. The temperature dropped last night. Place is bloody freezing. I checked the regulator, but it's not a mechanical issue. The place is just filled with some kind of chill. I'm looking at the security feed. I think I can see some kind of ship outside. It's flying around out there. Jeremiah, if you're hearing this, you need to send help. Don't leave me here to be kidnapped by aliens. Who knows what they'll do to me?
Well, thanks for joining me, and as usual, if you like and subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. Good night.